Welcome in, y'all. Welcome in. Okay. Dun, dun. Hopefully y'all can hear me okay. I'm having a lot of trouble with the TikTok live stream today. So we are doing a live here on YouTube. Okay. Let's see. How's everybody doing? I know that there might not be a lot of people watching when I'm live, but when I am, I'll just share the replay of the stream. So let me know in the comments how you're doing today. Also, happy Uranus in Gemini Day. July 7th was the date that I chose for the mentorship launch this year because Uranus is moving into Gemini today. And it'll be there for like 7 years. So that's kind of cool. This will be the only time that Uranus is in Gemini in my lifetime, at least. Probably. I mean, I don't think I'm going to live for 80 plus more years, but who the hell knows? But I wanted to do this today for a couple of reasons. The date 7/7 is kind of auspicious for me because 7 is my numerology life path number. So if you notice, like a lot of things in my pricing and marketing and stuff have to do with the number 7, lucky number 7. And so when I kind of looked at the transits for this year, I was like, ooh, Uranus goes into Gemini on July 7th, 7/7. Okay. I don't do everything in my life around astrology and numerology and stuff, but I was like, oh, this is a big deal actually right here. And me and my astrologer, Jamira, looked at this chart for today, and it seemed like a good time to set the date for mentorship getting started. I have 2 people enrolled right now. There are 2 spots available. So if you are watching this today, July 7th, 2025, there still is an opportunity for you to join the group. And we'll talk a little bit about what that looks like in a second. Also have my fan going because it's very hot. And I don't like necessarily running my AC super low because my electric bill is crazy in the summer. So I just have the fan blowing on me, at least for the first half of the day when it's hot. And then the second half of the day, it ends up being very cold in this room in my office. So I turn the fan off in the afternoons. So the mentorship group is for 4 people. And these are bookkeepers who are needing that support and guidance in that community with other bookkeepers, and who also know that they need to make changes or they need help kind of leveling up their bookkeeping business. So we'll go into detail about what mentorship looks like and chat about that. And just know that even if you are watching this later on a later date, if you're catching the replay of the stream later, that's totally fine, because I'm going to do this again. Like, this isn't the one and only time that I'm going to be offering mentorship. At least I hope not. I mean, I want to be able to do this over and over again because I'm having a lot of fun already. But it is a 6-month program, and I'll share with you a little bit about why that is. And I thought that July 7th is a good day to start. 6 months is a good time period to focus on. And so that's why it's happening right now. In 2026, I'll probably end up picking a different date. Excuse me. Yeah. The reason I chose 6 months is because that's truly like if you are showing up consistently every day online and marketing, and staying consistent with your messaging and stuff for 6 months, that is when you'll more than likely start to see things happening. Not necessarily before, but usually it doesn't take longer than that for like the algorithm to pick up on what you're doing for people who have been watching you and who are tapped in and like subscribing to your email list and all that. It doesn't take that long for everybody to start figuring out what it is that you do, what your vibe is. So 6 months I thought was a good time period to focus on content creation and bringing in new clients. That is what the people that come to me who are bookkeepers have said that they want help with. And I am going to help the people in the things that they need help in. So I have obviously bookkeeping clients. I've got people that I train on how to use QuickBooks Online. And then there's the freelance bookkeepers who are like, oh yeah, like I do bookkeeping for other businesses and I wish I could show up online the way that you do. I wish I could stay consistent, or show my face and be confident enough. And, I just don't have all this experience that you have, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, well, all of that's all things we can work on. That's, all of those things are only holding you back if you let them. So I saw that kind of need and I had the desire to show up and help resolve some of those problems for folks, help folks solve those problems for themselves, because obviously in any type of like mentor tutelage or tutor relationship, it's like, I can't do the work for you. Bookkeeping is different. My clients hire me to do their bookkeeping for them. That is something that I can do for other people. That's why I have a business doing it. But in terms of teaching you how to show up and create content, there are marketing agencies that will like create the content for you, but you do have to be involved in some way, because content and building a platform online is all about showing up authentically. Like people just want to know who you are immediately. Like we live in a very polarized world, and if you watch any of my videos, you know exactly where my politics lie and what my beliefs are, because I'm not quiet about it. But most people, when they're watching, when they find somebody, they're like, oh, I want to make sure that like their beliefs are in alignment with mine. At least I think that's how most people are. That's definitely how I am. If I come across somebody new and I'm like, ooh, I really like this. I like their messaging. I like their style, like the way they talk about something. My next question is like, okay, so are they like in alignment with what I believe? Because my beliefs are very important to me and I have very strong boundaries about that. So I'm just open and honest and upfront about that stuff, so that when people find my posts, and I'm talking about QuickBooks and bookkeeping, small business and stuff, that the next post they see is probably going to be something for me about what my beliefs are and what I think about things that are happening in the world, so that it's very clear, like this is who I am as a person. I'm also an Aquarius sun, and the humanitarian in me is just like, oh, absolutely. Also, Aquarius rules my 10th house in my chart, so it's like I'm going to be very forward about my humanitarian side. There will be no escaping that here. So those are the people that come to me as far as other bookkeepers go, and I've never been one of those people that's like, I'm going to turn you away because you actually compete with me. Like if I help you get clients, that means that I won't get as many clients. Like, no, that's not how anything works when you are building a business network. So combining my experience with bookkeeping, my experience with marketing and content creation, plus my experience with networking and building a business through referral, all of my like monthly bookkeeping clients that I continuously do work for have come to me by a personal referral, not online. The clients that I find online are usually purchasing one of my digital courses. They're a member in my community, which we have a free subscription tier and we have a paid subscription tier in the online community. And that is obviously going to be linked in my profile. So please check that out and set up your free account today. The people that find me online also book trainings with me. I've had a lot of folks hire me to do their bookkeeping for the past couple of months or years. Like if they have months or years of accounting that needs to be done and caught up, I do get hired for that. So it is a mix of knowing how to network in real life with the people that are already in your community and knowing how to post online and develop a parasocial relationship with a network of people who you don't know exist, but they know you exist and they're watching you, right? So it's the same thing both ways. I had a really interesting comment on TikTok the other day, and I do need to respond to it and make a video about it. But I was kind of letting it sit for a minute because I did respond to them in the comments about my thoughts about their question. And, it was a fine exchange and everything. But I do want to make a video response about it because video responses do well on my page as well. And it's not even like me calling out people or anything. It's just like I'm having a conversation with you about something, right? So there was an interesting comment the other day that was like, what do you think about cold emailing or something to that effect? Like basically asking me if I recommend cold emailing. And I was like, you must be new here because no, of course not. Cold emailing, same thing as cold calling, right? You are reaching out to somebody who is a cold prospect, meaning they probably don't know you exist at all. If they do know you exist, they haven't necessarily developed the like factor where they like you or your content or what you're saying. And they certainly have not developed the trusting factor that is needed for them to pay real dollars to hire you or to purchase your products or services. So the cold emailing thing, cold calling thing, honestly, what I want to respond to this person with is like, hey, I did respond to them and tell them about mentorship. I'm like, I'm enrolling mentorship right now. And this is exactly what we work on is how to talk to people about your business, your services, how to talk to people about hiring you to do their bookkeeping. And their response to one of my videos was like, what about cold emailing? And I'm like, if that worked, I probably would have suggested it already. So why don't you decide, do you want to spend 6 months in a intense small group with me, learning about networking, getting bookkeeping referrals, content creation, building a business online? Do you want to spend 6 months with me with my proven things? Or do you want to spend 6 months cold emailing and let's see which one works out first or better or is more, what's the word? Successful. I was like, it's an S word. Success? Service? I don't know. Which one's going to be more successful? You're going to spend 6 months reaching out to people who don't know you exist and are going to mark your shit as spam or, delete you immediately, archive you. And y'all know that when you send emails to people, maybe you don't know this, just this is how this works. Email marketing, you're not necessarily landing in people's inboxes. A lot of inboxes now have upgraded their like filters for spam and phishing and all that. And they will send your shit to spam immediately if they realize that you have like bad open rates, like really low open rates, really low click rates, really bad clickbait titles and subject lines and stuff. Like the email servers pick up on that, and your stuff will be sent to spam. It's not necessarily landing in someone's inbox. So I get, hundreds of cold spam emails every week. Some of them land in my inbox. I always make sure to send them to spam and mark them as junk. But more than enough land in my junk mail folder, and then they just get deleted. I mean, let me know what kind of results you want from your marketing efforts. Because the cold emailing, cold calling, why would you want to try to revive a relationship that starts out being cold like that? And also there's like some entitlement baked into that question. There's some entitlement in the assumption that like people give a fuck or have time to read spammy emails, cold emails and stuff. So that's one of the things. This is literally only one of the facets of mentorship that I do with my bookkeeper clients, the people who I'm mentoring to build a bookkeeping business online. The cold calling, the cold emailing is not going to work. What will work is if you are showing up consistently with a content strategy that has you being authentic and just talking in your normal tone of voice and like not trying to be perfect. That's it. There's like no simple hacks and stuff. It is work. You do have to put in the work. So beyond that, obviously I have over 11 years of experience in bookkeeping. I've been self-employed for over 3 years now. So I've been doing bookkeeping for a very long time. I've been in business for myself for just a few years now, but I feel like I've got several notches in my belt of like, yeah, I've tried this and I've tried that. And I want to be able to share not only how I market myself and help other people show up authentically and consistently and stop listening to the self-critic in their head, because the person in your head that's talking to you, being really mean to you and very self-critical to you, they don't have any bookkeeping clients either. So maybe you should listen to me instead. I'm just saying. Just a suggestion. Not only am I helping you with the marketing and advertising systems and things like that, but we are also going to be there. We're also going to work on your bookkeeping procedures and processes and getting things automated, developing your bookkeeping skills, number one, and developing your skills in running a business. Entrepreneurship, business ownership is a skill that needs to be developed. There's a lot of resiliency that needs to be developed too when you're running a business. And it is very, very, very hard to do this by yourself. And so if you are self-employed, if you are a sole proprietor, you're a single member LLC, it's just you, right? The book stops with you. The buck stops with you. You are ultimately the person who answers to whatever happens in your business. You take on the ultimate responsibility of how successful or not your business is. And that is a very difficult thing to do alone without support. And I'm not a therapist, but I'm in therapy. I'm not a coach, but I have coaches. I am calling myself a mentor for that reason, because I don't feel that I need any special certifications or titles. And I think saying that I'm mentoring other bookkeepers shows exactly what that type of relationship is going to look like. You come to me with questions, you come to me needing support. I provide a kind and supportive space for you to be imperfect and to work out all of the things in your business that need to be worked out over the first couple of years. Okay. So make sure that we are tapping in, that we are hitting that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you're watching this on the replay, let me know about down below. Like, have you already started a business? And what has that experience been like for you? I just passed my 3-year business anniversary in May. And it's been a wild and honestly tough ride. And like every couple of months, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, hey, when is this going to get easier? When is this actually going to feel expansive and relaxed and like, but it's hard work in the very beginning. If you play video games, you kind of understand the grind that you go through in the beginning of a video game. If you're learning the controls, you're learning the mechanics of the game, you're learning the rules of the game. I play like farming, Stardew Valley kind of games, crafting games. And so like there's a lot of just collecting materials in the beginning before you can like build cool stuff, right? The beginning of business ownership is very similar to that. It is about grinding through the day-to-day, the very boring, tedious, monotonous work, building a network of people who can refer business to you is also a grind. Relationships take work, and that's what you're doing whenever you're networking. You're building relationships. The analogy that I like to give that I heard from a networking organization that I was in was that you want a network that's only an inch wide, but a mile deep. So if you were imagining your network as like a circle of people around you, you want to have only one person circle deep wide around you, but a mile deep relationships with those people, very deep and meaningful, long lasting, trustworthy relationships with those people, even though there's only a few people standing around you, versus the network that is a mile wide, where you've got tons of people standing around you, a mile in all directions, and your relationship to each of those people is only an inch deep. It's very shallow, very on the surface level relationships with folks. Which network are you going to get more quality referrals from? Which network is going to send you actual bookkeeping clients that are going to be long-term clients that you are going to grow and build their business alongside them? That is the difference. So that takes time. You cannot dig a mile deep in a week or even a year. Like, it takes a couple of years, which is why it's so pertinent to start immediately when you start a business. Or if you think about, I want to get my own bookkeeping clients, it is pertinent to, at that point, recognize, okay, well, that means I need to start working now. Because if I start working now and I do that consistently, not perfectly, but consistently just showing up and being vulnerable, being authentic, being yourself, that is going to pay off down the road. There's another analogy that I've shared recently that was really, really good. And that was, imagine if you had like a PVC pipe that was maybe a yard long, and it was like sitting horizontal so that if you stuck a ping pong ball in one end, it wasn't going to immediately roll out the other end. But if that PVC pipe is laying horizontal and you are pushing ping pong balls in one end, one at a time, you would have to wait a couple of minutes before you saw ping pong balls starting to be pushed out the other end of that pipe. So thinking about that, putting in the work consistently, one ping pong ball at a time, one post at a time, one email campaign at a time. Sorry, I have the hiccups. You will start to see results if you keep pushing through, but it is not immediate for a lot of people. If it ever is immediate, it's some fluke virality thing that usually doesn't last. But knowing about that, thinking about that in that way will help you get started immediately. Knowing that you don't have to be perfect is going to help you get started immediately. I wrote down in my little work ideas notebook here that the further you procrastinate, the longer you procrastinate and you don't start something, the further you push your results into the future. You are pushing your own results further into the future the more you wait and don't start anything. And now I talk a lot about the marketing part of running a business because it's like, well, yeah, whenever you just need to get some clients in the door, like that's where we start, right? You don't have to have a lot of experience to have bookkeeping clients, to get people to hire you. There are ways to utilize your network to start small on some bookkeeping clients and projects that might be pro bono or very discounted rate, or work as a contractor for an accounting office that does bookkeeping, like something, right? There is some way that you can start talking about your business and the services that you provide and start getting small projects that are going to add up and that are going to prove to your network over time that, like, they know what they're doing. They know what they're talking about, right? They help people out. They've talked about the ways that they have overcome challenges in their business. So the marketing is a big part of it at the beginning, because we're all like, oh, okay, well, I'm starting my business. Time to get some clients. And then you look around, you're like, I don't know where to start. So that's a big part of it. And of course, when you're self-employed and you're a bookkeeper, unless you have years and years and years of experience, you're going to want somebody that you can go to ask those kind of technical, knowledge-based questions about bookkeeping, accounting, taxes, etc., right? and have somebody that you can get those questions answered that's like not Google. Now, I do use Google a lot. I don't currently have a bookkeeping mentor, but I did, sort of, for a number of years. But I just have that much experience under my belt to where if I come across a problem or I have a question about accounting, taxes, bookkeeping, something, how to handle something, how to automate a process, I have the experience to draw on to answer that question or to solve that problem. And I have the research skills to know where to go to find the answer if I don't know it yet, right? So that is also my role as a mentor, is just saying like, yeah, as you have bookkeeping technical questions or you're working on your bookkeeping projects solo, I'm the resource that you go to instead of Google or something, or calling Intuit QuickBooks support or whatever. I'm the person that is the resource to answer those questions for you, to help you research the question, to help you make a decision. A big chunk of bookkeeping and accounting is due diligence and compliance. Knowing what our due diligence is as professionals, especially if you have a prepare a tax ID number like I do, there are certain due diligence requirements I have to meet in order to maintain my preparer status with the IRS, and compliance. Like, helping your clients understand what they have to be doing as business owners, especially if they have employees on payroll, if they are insured and bonded for like contract work and jobs like that. Part of the work is helping the client with compliance. That adds value to your services, but that also brings up a lot of questions. I get questions from clients that I've had almost the entire time I've been doing this, almost every month. Those people are still coming to me with questions that I'm like, I know that we've talked about this before, or why is this a thing that you're asking about now? Like, why are you trying to do something different right now? They're just always going to have questions, and they're always going to need that guidance and support, and to stay compliant with their businesses, with their operations. So a lot of bookkeepers don't realize that that is kind of part of the role. But you could say, oh, I'm sorry, I don't help. That's outside of the scope of what I do as far as bookkeeping goes. You could set a boundary and not do that kind of compliance work. However, adding in the compliance work, having that as part of your services adds to your value, to the value of your services, not to your value as a person, because you are invaluable as a person. You don't have a price tag on you. You have a price tag on the services that you provide for people, on the scope of the work that you do for other people. And adding in compliance to that increases the value of that work, right? So it's more than just data entry, more than just reconciling, more than just fiddling around with QuickBooks, right? Running a business is so much more than that. And being a bookkeeper can include so many other valuable things beyond just doing bookkeeping for a business, right? Running payroll for a business, cleaning up somebody's books, blah, blah, blah. It can be so much more than that. So that is what I want to help support and guide other bookkeepers through, is like increasing your experience and your value, the value of your services. Man, the sky's the limit, A lot of people go into entrepreneurship. A lot of people start a small business to have the freedom of time and work and where they work and who they work with and how much they get paid. 100% yes to all of that. And when there are no boundaries, when you first start and you do not take the time to set up those boundaries, you can have scope creep, which is where a client starts to expect more and more and more from you outside of the scope of what you guys agreed on to begin with. If you do not ahead of time set your working hours, set up vacations and time off for yourself, evenings, weekends, Mondays, vacations, personal days, Working hours, very important. We all need to eat, sleep, move our bodies, have fun, play, spend time with our families, whatever. It's not all about work. You have to set boundaries around your work hours in the very beginning, around the days that you're working and not. I have a personal day scheduled every single month of the year, one day in the month that is my personal day where I'm not working. And I set that up the year before. In December every year, I set up all of my personal days on my calendar for the following year. And I say, not taking clients on these days, won't be doing work on these days. It's not a day that I have to run payroll usually, but if it happens to fall on a day that I run payroll, I allow myself to run the one payroll and just do that and not do anything else for work that day. Having those boundaries around your work time is so, so important. And setting a boundary, all fine and dandy, right? You can set a boundary right now if you wanted to. The trouble is in upholding it. The trouble is being accountable to yourself. Mentorship provides that kind, supportive, non-punitive accountability space, meaning that I'm not going to punish you or yell at you if you set a boundary and then you didn't stick to it. We are going to talk about why. We are going to explore what happened, right? Setting the boundary isn't the hard part. It's sticking to it. It's being accountable to yourself and saying, I set a boundary for a reason. It was to keep myself safe or to give myself more time for family or play or my hobbies, right? I gave myself a personal day to take care of personal things in my life that have nothing to do with my business or to just lay on the couch, right? But having to hold yourself accountable can be very challenging if you're not good at setting boundaries. Boundaries are a skill. Setting and maintaining boundaries is a skill. Like you have to do a little bit each day to build up that muscle, to build up that skill. So the space that I create for my mentees is one of accountability for setting boundaries about your business. Another boundary that people don't realize is a boundary is pricing. Your prices are a boundary. If you say to somebody, it costs this much for me to do your bookkeeping, and they don't want to pay that, that's a boundary. You're not going to go beyond that and do that work for them for a lower price if you've decided it's this price, right? And they are not allowed. I mean, I guess they could demand that you do it for a lower price. And the beauty of being an independent contractor instead of an employee is that your clients don't get to make demands of you, right? It's a mutual agreement of this is the work I'm going to be doing and this is how much it costs. This is the work I won't be doing at this cost, right? Pricing is a boundary. Nobody wants to think about it or talk about it that way, or they don't realize that's what it is, but that's what it is. Pricing is a boundary. And I've had mentees that have not held up a price boundary before. And what ends up happening is that they resent the shit out of that client. They hate doing that work, right? They don't like when they see the client calling their phone at any hour of the day. It's a fraught relationship. It's not fun. And they wind up being burnt out, right? All because you didn't want to, quote unquote, upset somebody else and say, no, I will not be doing that because you're not willing to pay me more money. That is people-pleasing behavior. That is codependency. That is something definitely to work on in a therapeutic situation with a licensed counselor. But although I'm not a licensed counselor, I am doing that work for myself too. And so helping you stay accountable is how I provide that in mentorship. Like just saying, hey, you said that you were going to raise your prices. Let's talk about why you didn't do that or why you still offered the old price after you had raised them to this new client that came along. Like, nobody's in trouble, right? You get to do what you want to do. And I'm not going to tell you what you should or shouldn't be doing. I don't should people, but we can explore together and have a conversation about, okay, so when the new client came along, after you had already raised your prices, what was happening that you were like, well, let me just give them the old price anyways? What exactly was going on with that interaction? Like what was happening? What were you thinking about? How were you feeling? Were you feeling panicked or scared or what, right? Which is usually what happens. Panic, feeling afraid. The people pleasing starts rearing its ugly head, right? The mentorship space is an accountability space for that, but not in a way that I am replacing any work that anybody's doing in therapy, of course. Please get a licensed professional counselor who can help you with those sorts of things and develop that resiliency. And this can be a space where throughout the week, you will have access to me in the group chat. You'll have access to the live calls, the group calls that we have, and you will be able to report back like, hey, it was actually really tough for me to set this boundary. And it's like, okay, yeah, boundaries are tough to uphold whenever you're getting used to upholding them. It is a skill that needs to be developed. It's a muscle that needs to be exercised, right? It requires presence and grounding in your own body, in your own life, staying present. It requires all sorts of things. So we can talk about that. We can hold space for that. We can explore what's going on whenever you are seeing someone come up to your boundary and how you respond to that, whether or not you uphold the boundary. Why do you not feel safe upholding the boundary? Because boundaries are what's supposed to keep you safe. That's what boundaries are for. It's to keep ourselves safe. It's never to control other people. I can't control my clients. Cannot control what they do. The only thing I can do is set a boundary and say, hey, this is when you pay me. According to our agreement that you agreed to, this is when you pay me. If you do not pay me according to the agreement, I will stop work, right? That's the boundary. It sounds very simple. It sounds easy, but it's not. It is simple because boundaries can be simple. They can just be an if-then statement sort of thing, right? If this happens, then I'm doing this. If this happens, then I'm not doing this. If this doesn't happen, I'm not doing this. That kind of situation, right? So that's what we work on in mentorship. That is how I provide that kind of accountability service to my mentees. Now let's talk about the actual mechanics of what mentorship looks like. I'm getting close to 40 minutes, so probably another 10, 15 minutes or so, and we'll be done streaming for today. I hope that I can figure out what the hell is going on with my TikTok and be back to live streaming over there. But let's talk about the mechanics, the actual experience of being in mentorship. Number one, I want folks to know that they are going to get out of it what they put into it. If they do not participate, respond to suggestions, try new things, they will get the same results. They will continue to get whatever results they've been getting. If you don't participate, if you don't take those suggestions that I give you, because again, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm going to suggest what might be an interesting experiment for you to try out in your business, right? If you don't do those things and you just continue whatever it is that you were doing before, well, then we can pretty much guarantee you're going to get the same results, right? What mentorship looks like is entirely up to the individual that is being mentored. There are 4 spaces in the group. There's 2 spots filled. There are 2 spots available as of today. And after this, enrollment does close. After July 7th, 2025, enrollment closes and it will reopen again in 2026. But we have, let's talk about day to day, what it looks like for you to be in this mentorship group. You have access to me pretty much anytime you need to ask a question or get support on something via the group chat. I do not immediately respond to all group chat messages. I do respond to all group chat messages. We host our group chat inside Discord. It is categorized so that the different aspects of your life and business and work and marketing and self-care and all of that, offers, pricing, etc. It's categorized in a way so that you can create threads in different channels depending on what the subject is of your question. Whatever kind of support that you need, there's going to be a channel for that. I post all of my resources for my marketing at the very least, or like my business administration and systems. Inside the group chat, I pin them so that there is an organized place for you to see all the back end of my business pretty much. I instruct my mentees on how to create content, how to write copy, how to set up systems in their business, how to respond to client messages, how to solve this bookkeeping problem in QuickBooks, etc. There's all sorts of written and verbal instruction because Discord allows you to send voice memos. So that is one of the options. Not only can you write in and get support in the group chat, but you can send a voice memo. I respond with voice memos. I respond with written messages. Everybody's getting support in there. I usually take no more than 1 to 2 business days to get back to folks if they post in the group chat. I get back pretty quickly, but if I'm on vacation, it's a holiday weekend, like I'm not going to respond probably unless I want to, unless maybe there's something that I want to share. The group chat is going to be the most consistent, frequent way for mentees to get support, to have accountability. So if you're like, I'm really struggling with setting a boundary, but I did it and I'm upholding it, and you want to celebrate that with us, post it in the group chat so we can celebrate with you and cheer you on, or help you explore maybe why setting a boundary didn't work for you. If you need to develop your offers and you want to copy and paste your bookkeeping services engagement letter for your clients, and we can work on the copy of that. You want to work on the copy writing for your website, any social media content that you want feedback on, that's where the group chat gives you ongoing support. So every day you can post in there, get feedback from the other mentees, get feedback from me, not necessarily every day, but it is a small group space. And you've all been in group chats before. You know exactly how this works. It's also a ton of fun. We send memes and shit in there too. Pictures of what you're eating for lunch. Like, it's just a group chat. And it's a very supportive way and a very kind and loving space for all of us to be imperfect together and to just be there for each other, to hold space for all of that, for all those human imperfections. So the group chat is very consistent, always there for you to tap into, even after the 6 months is up. Very important thing to note. The 6 months is just for the group Zoom calls every other week, which I'll talk about in a second. But the group chat, once you're in the group chat, you're in the group chat. Unless you do something absolutely horrendous and harmful, then I would remove you. But I don't see that happening. And it would be addressed first if something did happen before I just booted somebody. But that's always there for you to go to, even after the 6-month program is up. You will always have access to the group chat. Now let's talk about the biweekly calls, because I mentioned that. The biweekly calls are only for the 6 months. You have a call every other week with me and your other mentees. These are small group calls. There's only 4 people in a group at a time. And as of right now, there could be more in the future in a group, but right now it's only 4 maximum. Me and the 4 of y'all. And the Zoom calls are an hour long. And so each participant has time to share what they're working on, get real live support, video chat support, right? With whatever they need help with and support in their business for. Sometimes I use the call as time to give a little instruction or, announcements, updates, things like that. But most announcements and updates go in the group chat in the Discord. So the biweekly calls, kind of like coaching calls, everybody takes their turn. We're not interrupting each other. It's not really a group discussion. It's more taking turns one-on-one, me and you, but there are other people on the call. The group calls do get recorded and the replays are posted inside my private community. Again, anybody can join the private community. The mentees have their own space inside the community that is private where they can watch their replays, access resources, get into the Discord, all that good stuff. So the replays for our group calls get posted in case you want to watch it back and think about stuff or take notes, so that anything that we discuss, you can go back and watch again as needed. You don't need to be like taking notes or anything during the call necessarily. So every other week, group calls. I'm not going to... The call times are based on when the majority of mentees are able to come consistently. I wouldn't want to have a call time that somebody was not ever able to make. That would defeat the purpose, right? So we try to find something that works for everybody in terms of timing so that everybody on any given week should be able to join. Obviously, people will go on vacation or be ill or for some reason might not make it to the call, and that's fine. But the call is available. The replays of those calls are available for mentees after the fact. Finally, there is a monthly all call, and that is for the mentees who are currently enrolled. In the future, you will have access to that monthly call moving forward, just like the group chat. You will always have the group chat available to you even after the 6 months is up. And you will also have the monthly check-in calls because that is for all mentees to come and check in, update, all of that. We start on the monthly calls with a bit of grounding where we do a quick, breathing exercise, little guided meditation, visualization sort of deal, just to get grounded and centered. But the monthly calls are just kind of like update. How's everybody doing? Checking in with mentees from prior groups, celebrating any victories or things that are going on in your business that are going really well. Monthly calls, a call every other week, means that each month you will have 3 calls during your 6-month mentorship. You'll have 3 calls a month, sometimes 4 calls a month. Cool, right? So at least 3, if not 4 calls a month, the ongoing group chat in the Discord, the curriculum that I'm developing for mentees has to do with mostly content creation so that we can do that first. I think it's important to have your offers outlined first before you start taking on clients, right? To get your pricing down, to set up your business boundaries in terms of working hours, working days, communication boundaries, like don't give your personal number out to people for them to call and text you at any time of day, right? Communication boundaries, like I don't respond to emails on the weekends, and pricing boundaries. So having all those boundaries set up in the beginning is a good idea, but the rest of it does not have to be perfected immediately. We just need you to have protections in place for you to be able to operate and serve your clients. That's how you make money, is by providing a service. So there's a few boundaries to set up in the beginning, but from there, it's like mostly how do we get you talking about your business? How do we get you out there networking, posting content, having conversations with clients who want to hire you? That is the work that needs to be done in the beginning so that you can get people to hire you. And if you're doing it consistently, it's probably going to take about 6 months before you really start seeing results and being like, oh, the algorithm actually knows what I'm talking about. My audience has been watching me for a couple months and they know where to go find help from me if they need it and how to schedule a consultation. It takes that amount of time because everybody's busy. Everybody's life is whack. We have so much information being shoved down our throats every single day. People are busy and distracted. And so, unfortunately, it takes a while for you to break through some of that noise. So, That's the mechanics of what the mentorship program looks like. That is my approach to it, is very holistic. Like, you're a human being. Some of you are parents, you're married, you have family obligations, you have lives outside of work, you have hobbies and interests in things that have nothing to do with bookkeeping. And I want to respect all of that. And if this is how you want to support yourself financially, having good boundaries, having good systems, not perfect, but good, safe, protective systems, automated systems, that is going to get you much further with less burnout, less fatigue, right? Than the burnout, the hustle and the grind and shit. When I said grind in the beginning of this live stream, I didn't mean grinding all hours of the day and night. I meant you have to acknowledge and recognize that it takes time to develop a bank of content, to grow an email list, to talk to bookkeeping clients in your own voice before you start to realize, like, okay, people respond when I say this, or when I say that, it resonates with my audience more, or like saying this in that video got somebody to book a consultation with me. Like, it takes a while before you start finding those things out. It's all about collecting data in the very beginning. Okay. That is what mentorship looks like. I'm so excited. The people that I have in there right now are really awesome. They're doing amazing things already, and I cannot wait to see how their businesses grow over the next 6 months. And just as a reminder, if you're watching this on July 7th, mentorship enrollment is open until midnight tonight, after which I will not accept mentees again until 2026. Friends, thank you so much for watching the replay, the live stream, for hanging out with me. Let me know in the comments what resonated with you. What questions do you have for me about mentorship? I feel like I went in depth during this video explaining what it is, but there could have been things I missed, and that's perfectly fine too. For me to know, for you to give me that feedback and say, well, this really wasn't clear when you said this. Great. Let me explain it again. Allow me to repeat myself. 80% of my business is repeating myself, and I'm okay with that. Like, that's what business is about. It's just repeating yourself constantly, to be honest. So perfectly fine. Let me know your questions in the comments. If you want to enroll in mentorship, that link is in my profile, and you need to go there now. Okay. If it's after July 7th, the link will still be there, but it will only let you into the interest list so that you can get subscribed and let me know that you want to join mentorship in the future. Okay. Questions, comments, leave them below. Y'all, go set up your free account inside my private community. It's also linked in my profile. Anybody can set up a free account. I post so much stuff in there for bookkeepers and small business owners who DIY their bookkeeping alike. Okay, go set up your free account and then get into mentorship or get on the interest list for mentorship. Okay, that's it. That's enough yapping from me today. I hope you all have an amazing week. Happy Monday. I kind of treated this like a podcast, and that's cool. So, hope you all have an amazing rest of your week. Happy Uranus in Gemini for the next 7 years or so, 8 years. Enjoy. I'll see you all soon.